Hey guys, this is Josh here, your Amazon optimization guru, and welcome to my channel where we talk about all things related to optimizing and ultimately growing your sales on the Amazon platform. If you're interested in one-on-one consulting services, I am available to take on a limited number of clients, so you can feel free to get in touch by filling out the form in the description below. Today we're going to talk about more of the holistic algorithmic aspect of the Amazon platform and ultimately the variables that go into play when Amazon is looking to rank your items, and also the factors that go into play terms of what people are looking for when they purchase your items. So if you follow these and if you really start to understand them, you're going to enable yourself to grow your sales and ultimately index for more relevant terms as well as rank your items higher within the platform itself. So I'm going to start with a few that I think are the most important, and we'll kind of move from there and move down the funnel a bit. I recommend that you start with the first few, and I would say 4 to 5 variables that I mentioned here in terms of priority, and then move yourself down further and really hone in and really make your listings very specific, because that's really going to help you ultimately rank your item higher. So the first option that we're looking at here would be the product title. And I think this one goes without saying. It's one of the first things the buyer or prospective buyer views when they're searching for a product on the platform. So for example, here I put in protein bar, and you can see what comes up in the search results. Amazon has this interesting thing where they'll actually highlight the key search term within the title, just so it's more noticeable, so your eyes will gravitate towards the title first. And if I'm on a desktop, they'll show usually a good number of characters. So you could pull a few examples, put them into a character counter just to get an idea, because it varies a little bit depending on the listing. However, if you're on a mobile phone, which again a lot of Amazon users are, that's going to show a lot less characters. So you really want to hone in on, say, the first 100 to 150 characters within your listing, and make sure that you position the most important terms up first. And then you have kind of the tertiary benefits, and of course the weight of the item or the count of the item at the end of the title. And something that's concise and something that's keyword rich, specific to your audience. So have a look at what the other brands are putting within their competing listings compared to yours, and see if there's anything that you can infer in terms of feedback comments and positive comments, where people might be looking for a specific thing that your product happens to cater to. So in this case, if we're looking at protein bars, we see that they've positioned organic, they positioned vegan, and of course, some of the ingredients up front along with the amount of protein. And then they follow that with some of the benefits that I believe most of their audience are looking for in this case. But again, it's going to depend on the product. This is a consumable. Maybe you sell something in a completely different category. So you're really just going to have to you do your research, look at the top brands, look at the top placed products for specific keywords such as protein bar, and determine how you really want to curate your title and what you want to put in it. And again, all of these topics that I'm talking about today, I will go into a lot more specifics in my other videos. So take a look at my channel and you're going to find a lot more information in regard to that. So we'll look at the second one here, which I think is the product image. And this is what shows up obviously within the search results as well. And I really think that because Amazon has such a high number of products and you're competing in a space that's very crowded at this point, it's not a platform that's in its infancy. Just about everyone and their grandmother are on Amazon. So you really want to think about how you can curate your images so that they stand out to the consumer, because otherwise you're just completely lost in a sea of other competitors and products. So I'd recommend thinking about that, making sure that you have obviously the white background, a professional looking image, something that's rendered but looks like the original, something that showcases the flavor, something that has a lot of color. You really want to make it glow. You want to make it stand out. Depending on your category, you might want to consider other tips and tricks. We'll go into more of that in my other videos. But just know that I think personally this is one of the most important aspects to getting your item noticed, getting it clicked on, and then ultimately leading someone to a purchase. Number 3 is going to be the bullet points. And this is what someone is likely going to read every time they visit your product page. Not everyone does. Sometimes people just look at the images and then they make a purchase. But if they're looking for more specifics and more benefits to make sure that the product's a correct fit for them, they're going to look into the bullet points. This is a great place, again, to position any keywords that you don't have ultimately listed in your title, and then to kind of go from there and build out your ranking, build out your indexing for all of those additional terms that may be high volume search terms that you can capitalize on. So you can see here as an example, they make call outs to the types of bars that they offer, the benefits again, the ingredients, nice and healthy, only 150 calories per bar, 5 grams of sugar, etc. And then, of course, the certifications and more of like the lifestyle description. They want to show the consumer kind of predicting or depicting the image in their head of how they're going to use this and if they're the right fit for this specific snack bar. So I highly recommend that you look at the bullet points, that you make use of all the available bullets. Most have 5 available, but some categories will actually have more than 5. So take advantage of it because that's super important. I will say in regard to the bullets as well and the title, you have an additional area which is called the backend search terms within Seller Central, where you can leverage additional terms. So anything that you can't mention here, or even things that you have mentioned and you want to reinforce the algorithm to index for those terms, would definitely recommend you take advantage of that. And then we'll move on to a couple of other factors of feedback. And there's many different ways that you can gather good feedback for your item. You want to make sure that you get as much feedback and consumer comments as possible. So definitely an area to look at, as well as the price. Make sure you're positioned well in regard to your competitors. If you're too expensive, you're going to miss out on a lot of sales. Your conversion rate's going to be lower, and ultimately you're going to miss out on a lot of ranking, and of course, money as a result. So I would definitely recommend making sure that your pricing is competitive, and that's really going to help you out. Make sure that you have your inventory in FBA. If you're competing with other buyers in the buy box, you're really going to want this because it's going to help you show up more often. It's going to increase your sales there. Some other areas are diet type. If you're savvy with the back-end feeds in Seller Central, I'll go into details on this in another video of mine. And your product mentions these diet types on the packaging, for example, then this is a great thing to mention within your listings. And you're going to get listed for these in the search results as well, which is really cool. For products that are, obviously non-consumables, you can also capitalize on product types as well, and we'll talk about that more. In terms of back-end details, usually depending on the category, you can go in and you can include even more details about your item. I recommend going through that section, really making sure you have everything in there, because that's really going to help you out. For example, if you have a buyer that goes in to Amazon and then they select a different filter for a specific search query and they select another filter and another one, if you match up with those filters based off of your back-end criteria, you're going to be in a pond with a lot less fish swimming around and have a higher likelihood of making a sale. So I would definitely recommend looking at that, as well as some of the rich content. If you're a registered brand, you can have a brand module like this one. You can have accreditations and certifications, and then you can also have A+ content, or what they would consider premium A+ content, which gives you kind of these bigger panels depending on your seller status and if you're a registered brand or not within Amazon. So I definitely recommend the image side of it and making sure this is queued up, just so that when someone comes to the product page, they're going to have a higher likelihood of converting, because you have more content and you have better marketing and imagery that represents the brand. Another area is the product description. This is more of like a long form type of paragraph description. It's a great place to also put your keywords in, as well as any other keywords that you haven't had room to mention above, or you felt like maybe they weren't necessary to put there. So I definitely recommend putting that in. Obviously, ingredients if you're a food-based product, or contents, or anything else, depending on your product type. So that's really it in terms of like an overview of what Amazon uses to rank items, ultimately leading to more or less sales depending on how well you've done it. Again, I'll go into more detail on these in my other videos, where you can visit the channel, you can take a look, and you can really dive into the specifics here. But for now, it was just an overview. If you like the content and you found this useful, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and take care.